a little bit of a random one, but I wanted to talk about it because I do think it is relevant to the tech ecosystem and also does have implications for gaming overall. The forgotten step cousin of the tech industry is finally IPOing. That is Reddit. Reddit was founded around the same time as Facebook, Twitter, many of these Gen 2 huge tech companies. And they're finally, supposedly in March 2024, listing on the New York Stock Exchange. So a few top line metrics. In 2023, they had about 800 million in revenue and about a $90 million loss, but that's increased 20% year over year. These numbers are a little interesting. They had 73 million daily active users and 267 weekly active users, 100,000 active communities. And I looked it up earlier today. They float on the top 10 most visited sites in the world. So I mean, that's pretty substantial. It's not clear what they're going to be listed at, but their last private market valuation was 10 billion. And they're planning on selling 10% of the company during the IPO. One of the really cool things that they're doing, which I think is actually a testament to their strategy, their ethos, and what makes Reddit special compared to a lot of these major social media platforms and tech platforms, is they announced a program which is going to let their top Reddit users invest along the traditional underwriters as part of the IPO. That's really cool, right? Because what makes Reddit unique is its communities. It's really community curated. The moderators come from the community, and basically rewarding giving back to that community is really awesome. Now, a lot of these guys might get their shirt, like depending on which way this market goes, you might get wrapped if you buy into the IPO. I don't really know. I'm not a financial analyst, but it's just, I like that they're at least giving people besides the, JP Morgans and investment banks of the world, the opportunity to get into these markets. So that's sort of like the table setting. We'll see how Reddit goes. Curious your thoughts on it. But before we talk about that, I want to talk about one other thing that's kind of interesting, which is that Reddit has made a deal recently with Google, where Google's paying them $60 million a year to use Reddit data as part of training for their AI models. So this is meaningful because traditionally, like OpenAI, they just scraped Reddit and basically illegally used it, right? Oh, we don't know if it's legal or not. The courts are going to have to figure that out. But they basically made a licensing deal saying, hey, Google, we'll pay $60 million. And for Google, $60 million is like literally nothing, right? That's like 2 minutes of revenue. It's cheap as heck, but it sets a precedent that you have to pay for data, right? And that's actually really, really good. And so I don't know how long this deal is. The rumor on the street is it's a short-term deal. And let me tell you, that's a perfect lever to ratchet up over time because they have one of the most unique data sets, right? There's only a handful of people who have really, truly unique data sets. Like Twitter has a really unique one. Reddit has one. Google obviously has crazy amount of unique data. Basically sets the precedent that like, hey, if you're going to train an AI on our data, you got to pay for it. And so that's good. So I just kind of threw a lot of things at you. What are your thoughts about Reddit? What do you invest in? Does this matter for gaming or is this just like some fun thing that we talk about because we're Redditors?
Yeah, I think it matters for a few reasons. I feel like Reddit has one of the most powerful and underutilized groups of users for those of us that are in the growth marketing space. Not that they don't sell their ads, they definitely do. If you took like Reddit's community and added like a Facebook ads or TikTok level or Google ads level tech and algorithmic buying and performance buying to Reddit community, I mean, that's solid gold, but they've just never invested and prioritized their advertising ecosystem like that. So you do tend to see more, I wouldn't call it dumb money, but less data focused and performance focused buyers on that space. So you're basically leaving out a large part of the ecosystem. And it's not like teams don't test it, they just test it and find it underperforms those channels and then move their budget elsewhere. And I do really like the move of them working with Google to sell that data because it's basically a way that they can at least partially realize the unique value of those users, which, I mean, thinking about it, that seems like a very valuable data set to train AI models. And I'm no AI expert, but just being able to learn tendencies of like language patterns of users based on self-identified interest groups. The mind boggles at just the additional depth that can provide to an AI model. So yeah, Reddit has like an incredible user base. Like I'm a daily Reddit user, even though it's sometimes a dumpster fire, but it does have very differentiated experience, I think, still from any other social media platform if you just want like deep topical conversations. Right. I think it's a good time for them to IPO. I mean, the market, even though we just talked about how bad it is for job conditions right now, as far as, stock market.
It's rip roaring,
Yeah. So I do think it's a good time. There's also, I think, not another hyped IPO going on to kind of drown the news out from this. So I think it'll probably do pretty well. I do like that they're working with their top community members to give them access at that level. Yeah, I don't know. My main thought for Reddit is like, I love the experience. I love the user base and the content that Reddit has. I just want to see them evolve as an ads platform so we can leverage that user base for the games that we work on.
Yeah. The ads piece is interesting because like right now they basically give you contextual targeting, right? And so you choose by interest group. And the reason why they would do that is because, they haven't gone out and bought and aggregated the data set that someone like Facebook has about their users. Part of it is they just don't know as much about you. And so it's harder for them to serve you ads. And so they do it based on your interest. It's not crazy to think that they can build a social profile of you over time, though. I mean, I have very, very, very niche Reddit interests that I basically give you a Rolodex of like, here's who the fuck I am, And so I got a lot of faith over time that assuming that this is something they continue to invest in. And to be clear, they have actually continued to invest in the ad product quite a bit over the last, call it 8 or so years. I mean, I remember when they got spun out of Condé Nast, I went down to the Reddit building and talked to Alexei Ohanian, and he was like, listen, we know that this is an undermonetized profit center, and we're working on it. We're hiring as fast as we can. We're building out an AM team. We're working on it. And Facebook has a scale that we don't have. So it's going to take us a little while. But I mean, you talked about differentiated user experience and how it can be a bit of a cesspool. But compared to what? I mean, go on X. I deleted X from my phone yesterday. I was like, why the fuck am I ever on this platform? It's just, I go in there and I feel bad every time. And I was a big Elon defender for a long time. But at a certain point, it's just like, what am I doing here? I'll go on my computer if I need to see it. And like, people yell at you if you say stuff on Reddit sometimes, but it's like, it's not the same, just like, you're a terrible person immediately. Or like Facebook, like what's the last thing on our Facebook? It's like, there's nothing you're happening on Facebook. So I think it's like one of the better user experiences from like a pseudo social network that we have out there. And so I don't know. I'm excited to see how they do. Cool. Well, that's it.
Lots going on as always. Yeah, to say once more, Xander mentioned up top, we're going to be co-hosting a couple of events with some friends of ours at GDC coming up in mid to late March 2024. So we're going to have one event that's more focused on Web3 gaming teams and one event more on mobile gaming. So if you are building in either of those sectors, come hang out with us. We love to meet teams that are building. You've probably heard our spiel before, but at Upptic, we do all things to help games grow. We build software that assists with it, and we do all the marketing work in the trenches for you to profitably grow your user base. So if you want to come party with us next month or you need help growing your game, you can reach us through our website. It's upptic.com. That's upptic.com.
Talk soon.